Hello, everyone. Hi, GP.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hmm.
So, I think in some time Shivku is also going to join us. So
Yeah.
let's start off uh, immediately. So I can see some students also saying ये Telegram पे भी discussion चल रहा है कि Quant was a disaster. I can see one here also.
Uh,
So
सलील क्या
yes,
ये क्या कहते हैं चैट इज enabled क्या? Because I see only couple of the chat points.
yeah, I also see. Now it is there.
It
I
now
can
it
see
seems
full
that
time.
way.
Ji.
Okay, guys. Good evening, everyone. Okay. So quant was bit tough. Okay. Question 66. Okay. Okay.
देख
Question
लेंगे.
66 is wrong. Let's see. Okay, we'll check that. Okay. But ठीक है सलील. It seems quant has been an issue for most of the students. Okay.
Right.
Last
So
couple of sessions they were saying that the quant was easy. So this time it came out to be a little difficult, which is fine. Yes.
सो आई थिंक वो सरप्राइज एलिमेंट तो होने ही वाला है कैट में भी तो कौन सा डिफिकल्ट होगा कौन सा इजी होगा वी डोंट नो
Mhm.
एंड वी हैव टू
Mhm.
परफॉर्म अकॉर्डिंगली सो आई थिंक
Mhm.
दैट्स अबाउट इट
Mhm. Mhm.
सो आई
Mhm.
थिंक फॉर अ प्रिपेयर्ड स्टूडेंट अगर पैनिक
Mhm.
नहीं किया है ना तो
हाँ,
आई थिंक मैनेज कर लेगा दैट्स व्हाट आई
हाँ.
स्ट्रांगली
In fact, Sadil, we'll discuss it in detail later on. But this quant was very similar to last year's quant.
या
More of algebra questions. A few easy questions were there, but it was your job to pick them up. And couple of students are saying question 66 galat hai, but I think question 66 is right. Okay, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that. So I think we can start जब तक शिव को join करता है. And unfortunately today we have a depleted strength because Jijo and Ravi Teja both are traveling. Okay, Shivku
यस
is in a class. So as soon as we come, we will they will enter. Okay.
सो वेरी गुड
Yeah.
सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद VARC देन स्ट्रेट अवे.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay. So before we start with VARC, there's this table that we can go
mhm,
with. So as you rightly said, it was quite much like CAT 21 in that sense overall,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So 99.5 percentile at 105 in 21, it was 107. So I think that is close
mhm,
enough.
mhm, mhm,
However, at a lower percentile, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि it was easier, So थोड़ा
mhm,
marks ज़्यादा होगा at 80, 85, 90 percentile. You'll have to
mhm,
score a
mhm,
little
mhm.
more than what you would have to in CAT 21. So I think, what do you say about that, GP?
Nee, see, when I look at this thing overall, if I look at this paper, it is almost similar. What we also need to remember, the same paper, if you get in CAT, the scores will fall a little because of the pressure of the exam. So by and large, when I look at this versus, let's say, CAT 22, okay, overall, yes, this is slightly easier. I would believe that is essentially because of DILR. Verbal and quant were similar to CAT last year, but this time DILR was on the easier side. And I think that is what would have pulled up the scores. And so DILR, I would believe people would have got on an average about 2 to 3 questions extra. Right.
Right.
So something like 6 to 10 marks extra out there. So अगर हम 100 में से about 10 नंबर हटा देते 3 सवाल का, so let's say 99 at 90 versus 84, I think it's almost the same. Okay.
Almost the same. Yes.
Mhm.
Right. Absolutely. So, so there's a question that I can see कि what are the chances कि इसी तरह का पेपर आएगा as usual ये question आता ही है हमेशा
हाँ.
but as expected कोई कुछ expect नहीं कर सकते कुछ भी आ सकता है so guys be prepared for everything so CAT 22 type of paper CAT 21 कुछ और कुछ भी हो सकता है so let's get into the sections.
Mhm.
So let's start with the VARC section. मुझे लगा कि VARC section was interesting because it was not difficult at all. It was
Mhm.
manageable, and students would have scored quite easily. Again,
Mhm.
similarly, so
Mhm.
48 was a score at 99.5 percentile. 48 meaning 60 questions तो डिफिकल्ट नहीं थे, पर मेरे हिसाब से 12-13 क्वेश्चंस तो कहीं नहीं गए.
Mhm.
Right? So
Mhm.
that I'm talking about 95 percentile was an easy possibility, and we will discuss how. Right? So what do you think about that, GP?
नहीं देखो this time I also went through the paper. Normally I don't look at English, but this time I thought कि खाली बैठा हूँ तो I might as well go through that section also. Uh, I think when I look at the paper as a whole, the first passage. was definitely not was difficult to read with all those big words. And frankly, जब मैं कर रहा था मुझे आधे से ज्यादा वर्ड समझ नहीं आ रहे थे. But मेरी आदत बहुत simple है. I will go through the passage completely and then go through it. Then look at the questions. And I realized that at end of the day, those big words, most of them did not have any meaning at all, and they did not matter. Okay. Similarly, if I look at the second passage, what was that? Philosophy वाला
GP, if I
question.
may interject in the first one itself, because first one मैंने आपसे थोड़ा अलग किया है. मैंने
अच्छा.
थोड़ा अलग इसलिए किया है बिकॉज मैंने वो बड़े वर्ड्स देख के पहला 2 पैराग्राफ में समझ गया था कि ये क्या बोलने का ट्राई कर रहा है. एंड इफ आई वर टू रीड इट, इफ आई लुक एट अ नॉर्मल स्टूडेंट, और अगर वो रीड करने जाता तो वो ये पैसेज में फंस ही जाता और टाइम वेस्ट कर देता या छोड़ देता.
नहीं, but Sanil, when we look at that, okay, let's go to that particular slide. But इस पेपर को अगर मैं देखता हूँ again, 40 versus 38, 45 versus 45, by and large, it seems to be okay.
Right.
Now, what is interesting, if you look at this particular slide, first passage, you have only one easy question. At least that's the way people have done. Okay? And one difficult. Third passage, it appears, is the more difficult one, surprisingly. Frankly, मुझे उतना मुश्किल नहीं लगा था. But nevertheless, second passage, fortunately, most people have done it right. Right. And I hope this will take care of the fact कि यार ये philosophy मुश्किल होता है, ऐसा नहीं होता. कि philosophy है तो it has to be a difficult passage. I hope that fear is taken away. Okay? And
actually funny part is GP, ये जो quasi realism के बारे में जो बात किया इन्होंने, it's exactly what हम लोग FIJ, fact inference judgment type के questions जब आते थे या decision making में हम जो logic use करते हैं moral realism का, तो आई थिंक वो उसके आसपास ही ये है. सो अगर किसी ने समझा हो तो उसको आगे भी इसी पड़ेगा. राइट. सो या यू आर राइट. मुझे ऐसा लगा, however, if you see the question 7, which seems to be a difficult one, or rather a moderate one by the students, but मुझे एक चीज वहां दिख रहा है when I saw the question कि वहां options 2 eliminate करना आसान था, जो 2 बचे वो smart options थे. So people could have got it wrong there, is what I feel. Else it was not difficult at all. पूरा का पूरा चारों के चारों questions easy थे actually.
Sanil, just coming back to passage number 1. See, my philosophy is very simple. When I look at the first passage, as I said, lots of big words, and which many words could have been confusing. But my logic is very simple. If it has got difficult words, none of them are going to matter because they are not looking at your vocabulary. They are looking at your understanding of the passage. So keep ignoring those difficult words. And if you look at the last line of the passage, it explained everything. If you just look at the last line of the passage, if you look at...
I will come to that. This compelling concept invites us to reconsider the nature of truth, ethics, and human interaction. No,
First passage itself. It is perhaps worth noting the irony that this very article, while advocating simplicity and accessibility in scientific communication, is itself steeped in the kind of complex academic language. The last 3-4 lines are telling you the complete crux of the passage. And ऊपर जो भी कहानी लिखी होती है मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It does not matter to me what those difficult words are. And that is what I want students to remember. Yeah, difficult words don't matter. If you have not understood the meaning of those 7-8 words, it is not going to impact your performance because what they are looking at is not your vocabulary but your understanding of the passage. And if you can just, if I would want students to look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4 lines starting from it is perhaps worth noting. Last 4 lines of this passage tell you exactly what the passage is all about. Okay.
So GP, I have this small thumb rule. You can call it jugaad also for verbal. I have this thought that मैं पहले 1-2 paragraph, if I read, and the last 3-4 lines of conclusion, if I read, it gives me the gist of the passage, and that worked beautifully for me in this first passage.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. So if I
as long as you have understood the gist or what is the broad theme of the passage, you'll usually get the right answers.
And the question number 1 and 3 were easily from the gist only. Question 1 तो एकदम पहले 2 पैराग्राफ में से निकल के आ जाता. अगर पूरा नहीं भी पढ़ता मैं, so I could still have got a question 1 right. And question 4 was also, so question 4 मेरे हिसाब से question 2 was absolutely leave worthy. छोड़ना चाहिए था. If you look at the question number 2, it was definitely leave worthy. Question 4 was a difficult one in the sense that it was double negative. अगर कोई बच्चा double negative maneuver कर पाया तो हो जाएगा.
Question 2 में ना, if you look at it, at least I did not have a problem. Okay, because and you could eliminate these choices. It says which one of this they would least recommend? That is, which one that the author would support the least.
Right.
Okay. So at no stage, if you look at choice 4, encourage journals on quantum mechanics to include non-experts. In the peer-to-peer review process, he's only talking about communication. He's not saying that the moment you have non-experts in the peer review, then it is gone for a toss completely. This is an area which he has not discussed at all. He's not talked about how peer review should be done. So this is alien as far as I'm concerned, and hence it can be easily eliminated. The passage was about communication in the scientific language, etc. Oh, Ravi is also here.
Ravi is here. Yes,
Ravi, I thought you were traveling.
No, I just reached home. Just in time.
Sorry.
I think Shipko is also here.
Shipko has a class. The moment his class finishes, he'll join us. And I have a class immediately after this session. So, ठीक है. थोड़ा सा tight schedule है सबका.
So, GP, about this question number 2, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि जो बच्चों को पूरा पैसेज का क्रक्स समझ में नहीं आया, वो पैरेलल रीजनिंग में शायद खो सकते हैं. So I can give it to them. कि हाँ, ठीक है.
So my point essentially is when you look at question number 2, again, I would go back to saying, are we applying those beast techniques or not? What Jijo has talked about, which I follow. Are we eliminating choice or not? Which is what they said. Choice 4 is alien. You should have straight away said, and that is the answer. Because the other 3 choices are relevant. Okay. So that's fine. Okay. But overall, when I look at it, frankly, I'm when you look at the third passage actually. Okay. Second passage, so surrealism वगैरह सबने ठीक ठाक कर लिया है. I'm glad about that. If you look at the third passage, that Africans वाला जो था, yes. And यहाँ पे, if you look at the choices, they were a little tricky. I would not say they were difficult, and that is what possibly explains the last 2 questions of this passage.
So the passage and the subject matter was easy read, but yeah, questions could have been a little tricky for the students. You are right.
And I think I just want to highlight one part. Please compare passage 1 and passage 3. Difficult to read versus easy to read. The difficulty of reading the passage, because many students tend to choose passage कौन सा पढ़ने में अच्छा है. बॉस जो पढ़ने में अच्छा था वो मुश्किल है. And it's a very common feature.
One more thing, if you look at it statistically, after the results, right now, if you look at the graphs you forget about the area graph, you just look at the bars. Okay.
Right.
Then statistically, the third passage is the most difficult one. Because the questions in that are difficult. While the first passage is easier in comparison to the third passage in terms of the accuracy that we are getting there.
Right.
Now, what typically would have happened in the first passage, why did people not attempt the first passage, is because the first couple of questions were difficult. While in the third passage, the first couple of questions were easy. So people ended up attempting the entire passage.
But Ravi,
the first passage was very difficult to read with all kinds of big words. Well, third passage was a very easy read. So it वो भी issue आ जाता है.
लेकिन एक और observation है GP इसमें. If you see the question number 12, which a lot of people have got wrong, but a lot of people have attempted it, right? इसमें अगर ध्यान से main idea को apply करें ना, तो it is doable. So I don't know why, but that question 12, students can revisit and check. It should not be as difficult as it seems. एक बार देख लेना. Students को मैं request करता हूँ कि just check it out. Question number 12. ठीक है, it should be doable. Anyway, and sir,
if you remember in the last mocks analysis, one thing I am happy about this graph is in the last mocks analysis, we had pointed out one thing, that irrespective of what the level of difficulty of the first 2 passages is, people are attempting the first 2 passages, and out of the third and fourth passage, people are typically choosing one. Those people who have decided to attempt 3 passages. But I am happy that people have made a good judgment of not probably attempting the first passage at all, because it appears to be a difficult read, and people have gone till the questions till the 16th question in the RCs also. I am happy with that actually. And that may also be the reason why we have scores in VRC.
Ravi, and the fact that 24th question is also the maximum people have got it right also speaks the same thing, कि वो लोग अंत तक पहुंचे हैं and they have made it there and got it right. That's a happy thing to see. You're right. So coming to the fourth,
my only request to all the students who did not attempt the first passage is please attempt it now, and you'll probably realize those big words, that difficulty of reading is meaningless. End of the day, it is the question which make it easy or difficult, and contrast it with passage number 3, which is easy to read, but with slightly difficult and confusing questions.
So GP, just to add, मैंने कुछ थोड़ा मैथमेटिक्स लगाया है. I have taken the accuracy and the attempt percentage to get कि 100 में से कितने बच्चे एक क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं टोटल, then they're getting it right, and उसका एवरेज निकाला है per set, and it comes out that the fourth set is 44% correct. Out of 100 students who have reached this set, 44 have got it right, and that is a good thing because fourth set उस हिसाब से सबको अटेम्प्ट करना चाहिए था. Third is at 34% and one is at 13%. So basically
Sadil, that is slightly erroneous because one में attempt ही कम है. When only about 30% of the population has attempted it, your number will always be less than 30%. So,
correct.
So my point, people who lived this passage because of the difficulty in reading, that I'm saying that criteria itself is wrong. That criteria, right. That difficult
people should have attempted. People should have attempted.
Passage are difficult is the wrong criteria because most students tend to go by familiarity and let's say ease of reading.
Right, absolutely. Okay. So the fourth one was absolutely easy. Sorry?
No, I was asking Shippu if you want to say something about the English section.
Shippu, you're on mute.
Shippu, you're on mute.
No, GP, I think you guys have covered all that needs to be covered.
Yeah,
coming to the VA part of the section, sir, what I felt was, of course, last mock was slightly easier to score VA section में, but para summary were all doable in my opinion. Para summaries नहीं छोड़ने चाहिए थे स्टूडेंट को, और एक para jumble जो वो short sentences वाला था वो करना चाहिए था मेरे हिसाब से. There were some 5 odd questions in VA which were doable out of 8.
Actually, I'm intrigued. Question 17, 20, 21, 23 क्या है? Because these seem to be a problem. 17 is a para jumble. Then 20. What is 20?
20. It was 20.
20 is. अरे ये तो sentence placement वाला था. ये क्यों गलत हुआ? Okay. 21 again is a para jumble.
It was not a very easy one. 20th वाला. Even though it was a para jump. This thing para completion.
So, I thought this was not difficult, but let's see.
I think 23.
17, 21 and 23 are para jumbles.
3 para jumble and 1 sentence placement. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is fine. What is good, as you said, that at least verbal log attempt करने हैं. On an average, 70% students have attempted the verbal questions, so which is a positive thing. Okay. ठीक है. उसके अंदर.
So verbal was meant to be a little more difficult this time. I mean, I can see that from the accuracy. By design, when we were discussing the design, Jijo wanted it to be a little more difficult. So that looks
from the
quite
last
apparent from attempts versus accuracy.
So just to conclude the verbal section, out of the 4 RCs, I think 8 to 9 questions seem to be doable for a genuine student, and 4 to 5 in the VA section. So total of 13 corrects plus some incorrects out of it would get us to student a score of 30 to 35. I mean, that is a regular thing which is possible in this, which would translate to 87 to 93, 94 percentile. So I think ये मेरे हिसाब से doable है. But then yeah, people are across the ranges, so yeah. So this is about the verbal section. Shall we move on to the next one?
Sure. Okay, guys, that verbal ka solution will be available tomorrow. The Jijo is traveling, so which is why he could not do the recording, but he'll do it tomorrow. Okay. Ravi, क्या कहते हो DILR के बारे में? हमने आ गया डेटा.
Ravi, easy है क्या?
Yeah, DILR appeared to me to be a tad easier, and it actually translated into the scores also. I can see that there is a gap of 2 to 3 questions at each percentile as compared to CAT 2022. Each percentile score as compared to CAT 2022. So I feel that this was a paper that was definitely manageable. There were enough questions for people to pick. Especially what stands out in this paper is that all of the four sets required some kind of quantitative reasoning. And that quantitative reasoning essentially was addition and subtraction only. ऐसा नहीं था कि बहुत ज्यादा ऐसा प्राइम नंबर्स इन्वॉल्व हो गए. Even the numbers, even if you look at that one set in which there are 75, 25 kind of numbers, all are good numbers, cute numbers, multiples of 5 that were given in terms of the
73, 28 जैसे नंबर होते तो ज्यादा तकलीफ होती.
Correct. It was the second set, I guess, where the numbers that were given 182, 195, 200, 206, not very complicated numbers to make any calculations about. And the sub teams number of students wala jo set tha, that was also 75, 20, all multiples of 5. It meant that, these were not questions which were very difficult to maneuver through, because none of the questions had a lot of literature. The literature in the questions was typically very small. So when the literature in the questions is small, is not very lengthy, people tend to read it completely. And once people have read it thoroughly, then they will be able to make a better judgment of it, is what I feel. So in that time that they are allotting to each subject, each of the sets, I think they were able to read and understand what is going to happen here. Even if someone follows cricket or doesn't follow cricket, the net run rate rule was very clearly mentioned what it has to be. So the second set was there up for grabs. You just had to go match by match and figure out that iska plus is uska minus, and you get there. Right? So I think so. There were enough questions in the paper. There were enough sets in the paper which could be easily dealt with. I felt that the second set was easily doable. I also felt that the third set, in which the percentage of students, the total number of students was almost there. The total number of students is given as the sum already. Then the percentage of students being divided into each of the groups. There were only a couple of numbers which could have added to that number. So there were not multiple cases. So hence the second and third sets were doable. So was the fourth set. And that is what essentially shows in terms of the accuracy. I don't know why people have left the third set. I would have loved to solve that in the paper.
Third set was fairly straightforward, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually even second set, I'm surprised. Look at the last two questions, 33, 34. The attempt rate is only 20% and 10%. Last two questions. I don't know why. And the level of difficulty is fairly low. So should have got everything right out here. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the third set also, I think it is not, the attempt rate is fairly low for third set. There's no doubt. I think set number 2 was a good starting point for this paper, given that most of the students, at least the boys, would be comfortable with cricket, at least would know the basics. And as you said, the rule was very clearly defined, so it should not have been a problem for those who don't follow cricket also. Actually, I'm surprised.
33, I have a little problem with. We have defined net run rate in the question, and the question was asking what is the average run rate of the team. Right.
Oh,
so okay. So that those who don't probably follow cricket may have felt that this is a question that I have to leave. And once they come to that particular question that they have to leave, I think that leaving the next question was an obvious choice for them, because they would have figured out in this set, okay, I have spent 10 minutes, I've got 9 marks, let's leave. That probably could have happened.
So, see, I understand 34 is Shodna. Okay? I still don't agree with the 33 wala. Because 34 again, you need to at least know that only if you're batting second and winning, you will win by maybe 3, 4, 5 runs only. At best, you will win by 6 runs. Now, that is something, knowledge of cricket will help you. So I'm okay with people leaving 34. But that average निकालना तो आना चाहिए यार, कुछ भी दिया हुआ है. Average निकालना आना चाहिए is what I would say. तो वहाँ पे मैं पास नहीं दे सकता.
सर वो तो थोड़ा बहुत क्रिकेट देखना चाहिए उसके. If someone has left 34 not because they don't watch cricket or they don't understand that run rate is the number of runs scored per the overs bold, it's okay if you have left 33. To my mind, it's okay. Okay, don't consider yourself to be a poor performer because you have left 33. The question should have mentioned that additional data, but we just thought, okay, so itna pata hoga. So don't worry if you have got that question wrong. Don't worry if you have left that question just because you don't know cricket. It's okay.
And रवि मैं उसका कॉन्ट्रा फिर भी डाल देता हूँ, आगे से आएगा तो प्लीज रिमेम्बर एवरेज की डेफिनेशन क्या होती है.
Right.
But ठीक है, I think that's acceptable. Okay, but 34, as I said, I'm not an issue if people have not attempted. If you don't follow cricket, you may not be able to handle that one. Okay? Actually, I'm a bit surprised with the first set. Very attempt rate is high and error rate is high.
So, GP, what stands out in the first set? See, in the second set, if you figure out what is happening in the 5 matches, you can literally answer any question out of it. I mean, the first 4 questions you can definitely answer. The fifth one is only the team batting second wala case humko consider karna hai. Right? So the first 4 questions could have been solved if you had the table, if you had the numbers in the table ready with you.
Right.
The problem with the first one is, though it is arrangement with some kind of quantitative logic, each of the questions is a different case. हर बच्चे का हमको प्लस माइनस करके वो 24 मार्क्स लाना है तो उसको वहां बिठाना है, और 70 मार्क्स लाना है तो उसको वहां बिठाना है. So there is always a chance in a caselet like this that you end up missing one or case, and hence your accuracy is low. So the attempt rate is not low. 50% of people 60% of people started attempting the question, and 60% of people attempted the last question also. So people who started attempted it completely, but there is a chance when there are cases, the accuracy goes down. Typically, there is a chance that the accuracy goes down because you may miss out on that -1 somewhere. You may miss out on that 0 mark somewhere. Those cases happen. I think first set, I believe if you can get 3 out of 5 questions correct, if you have got 3 out of 5 questions correct, you are good.
In fact, Ravi, for me, the sequence of attempt when I attempted, if I was attempting the paper, would be set 2, set 3, set 4, and then go to set 1. I would still keep set 1 in the end, purely because it is a set which has got only independent questions. So I can always pick and choose. Set 2, I have to solve the complete set. Set 3, I have to solve the complete set. Set 4, I have to solve the complete set theoretically. Those set 4, you can look at the choice and do it without solving the complete set also. But set number 1 gives me the flexibility of pick and choose. And such a set, normally, I will keep it for the end. Ki end mein agar 10 minutes bachega, to maybe I can pick up 3 questions and solve them, rather than leaving it. Okay?
I think set 4 was a complete no-brainer sitting out there. मतलब numbers भी ऐसे थे 3, 4, 5 या कौन से हेलीकॉप्टर में जाएंगे वो तो fixed ही था. I think getting to that point was not difficult at all. And, it was there for grabs. People who managed to maneuver till the last set did a wonderful job of it.
Yeah, I think the difference between this question and making it tough is just increase the numbers by a little more. Instead of smaller numbers, make it slightly larger numbers. I think this question will have become difficult.
And probably if you can add 2-way trips.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Unless you have enough people to come back from Katra. Kind of
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of a logic. Then it will become a tough one.
So the moment the numbers become larger, I think your combinations go up, and hence more confusion, and that's typically where students get stuck.
Yeah.
So moving on to the quant section, but before we do,
actually just one second, Ravi, एक जो question था ना, ratio of number of people going on either side. There was one question in the last set.
What is the ratio of number of passengers? Total number का जो भी
है, जितने जाएंगे उतने आएंगे भी ना.
Correct.
No, ठीक है. So there were questions in the last set at least. Even the first question of the last set, you could just eliminate choices and get it without solving it completely.
Right.
Yes.
I think,
but overall, I would say what I'm happy about is that people have at least picked up the right sets to attempt. Set 2, set 4, the best sets to attempt would have been set 2, 3, 4. And if you have picked 2 out of these 3, you're perfectly fine. Yeah.
I think, GP, one more thing is, when DILR is doable, I just want to see the impact of this on Quant. If DILR is doable, I am happy as a student, as an aspirant, I am happy in DILR. what is my mindset in quant? Do I attempt more than I naturally do? I just want to see
So
what
Shalini,
happens.
let's go to Quant. Quant देखते हैं क्या बोलता है फिर.
Before we do that, I just want to say, आपने बोला जैसे the people have learned to pick the right set and people have learned to both verbal and DILR are showing कि वो आखिरी question तक जा रहे हैं. So that's a very promising thing, students, if they are learning this, right? So
Ravi, if you get the opposition out for 230, you can think of starting off the first 4 overs with 30 runs, but be careful after that.
Absolutely.
all right.
आज भी वैसे ही कुछ है वैसे. ऑपोजिशन को जल्दी आउट कर दिया लेकिन अभी भी बनाना बाकी है. ठीक है.
Back to Quant.
So Quant
Guys,
was,
many
Quant
of
was
you are
meant to
saying
be
error in
last
question
time.
66. There's no error.
There's no error.
The answer has to be 28.
28. I mean,
28, not 3140. I've seen that question. It has to be.
अरे अनंत कृष्णा कितना बार बताएगा यार, वो गलत नहीं है. It's a correct answer.
28 ही है. मतलब ऐसा है कि देखो मेंढक अगर 2 कदम आगे चल रहा है 1 कदम पीछे चल रहा है तो जब वो पहले ऊपर चढ़ जाएगा उसके बाद 1 कदम नीचे नहीं उतरेगा. मेंढक
वापस नहीं उतरेगा.
तो अपने को भी रहना चाहिए बस. सिंपल.
So it was meant to be a little tougher than last time, right? Balancing the fact that
just small interruption. The answer given in the options is 3140.
28.
नहीं. Answer 28 correct है, but the correct answer given in the text solution is 3140, and because of that people have lost 3 marks. People have lost -1. People have lost.
Let me check that. Maybe I think
that is the issue people have. 28 should be the correct answer. Even the video solution has 28.
Fair enough. We'll get this corrected. Yes.
एक बार चेक करता हूँ. Text solution ठीक है. Okay. तो जिनका भी वो आया है प्लीज ऐड कर लो. You will get +3, +4 rather.
+4.
I'll get that thing corrected. That's the case.
Okay. Shall we go to the next one?
Yeah.
So now, if I look at question 66, there are 40% people who have marked 3140. Good. Instead of 20.
So this paper was more like, how do you handle the first few overs, right? If you are careful with the first few overs, because if you actually look at it, the first 6 to 7 questions, I think there were quite a few which made you think, and then subsequently it was a complete relax. So the subsequent questions were a little easy. So it is deliberately done to make sure that अगर by chance अगर आपके पहले 6-7 questions difficult आए, ये मत सोचो कि पूरा पेपर difficult होने वाला है, right? And if somebody had got kind of like psyched out by the first 8 questions, I think they would have spoiled the paper.
I think that's it. I mean, Butler's wicket was key. They had to hold the fort. If you hold the fort, you could have won. I mean, but still, even if the first 2-3 questions were difficult, or the first 4-5 questions, 7 questions were difficult, why is it that people attempted that? Why is it that people 40% people ended up attempting 47?
I think happiness from DI.
Yeah.
Actually, you mean to say that the questions that were difficult, people have attempted.
I mean,
देख, I think पहले 8 क्वेश्चन में भी 3-4 क्वेश्चन जो ठीक है, but you would have first 8. हाँ.
Chipku, इसमें issue ये है. Look at question 46, 47, 48. Now all 3 questions will require you to work your way through.
Correct.
And when you have to work your way through, there's always a chance you'll end up making some mistake. Okay. So, and some of these questions I think were such. For example, question 48. I know most of the students will be uncomfortable doing it. Why are you even attempting it? Same with question number 46 and 47. 46 पे time लगेगा. There's not a regular time and work question. This is typically what I would call round 2. 46, 47, 48 will typically be round 2 questions, not round 1 question. These should be left. I'm not saying they are not doable. to me these are time consuming questions, and hence you would have said let me come back to it later. तो 45 पक्का करना चाहिए था, ठीक है. इसके बाद जो है 49 क्या है, 49 पक्का करना था, ठीक है. एंड 50 वाज अ ज्योमेट्री क्वेश्चन. आता है कि नहीं आता, लॉजिक आता तो लगाओ, नहीं तो छोड़ दो. So when I look at the first 10 odd question, 45 to let's say 55, there were maybe 3 or 4 questions one should have attempted, maybe 5 questions or at best out of the first 10. And then it would have been a good paper because सामने दिखते हैं, green lines दिखती है सबको.
Right.
आई थिंक बहुत सारे बच्चे यही बोल रहे हैं कि बिगिनिंग में गलत क्वेश्चंस में फंस के टाइम वेस्ट कर दिया एंड दे लॉस्ट द गेम देयर. सो इट वाज द आइडिया वाज टू डू दिस वाज अबाउट सिलेक्शन ओनली और टिके रहना था. आई थिंक दिस इज
And again I would want to remind students in the race to 99 QA section, the last session slot 1 का किया था. Remember we talked about leaving question 2, 3 and 4 and going ahead with the next questions. This is exactly the same. Okay, this is exactly the same. You should have not done these questions, left them, and you would have got easier questions. And Naitik, geometry questions were not untouchable. Out of those questions, at least 2 were doable. One of those questions had the 30, 60, 90 wala formula सीधा. Last question of geometry, I don't remember what was that number, but the last question was geometry. एक circle के अंदर दूसरा circle और triangle fit किया हुआ था. That was a 30, 60, 90 wala question. That should have been solved. Yeah. Actually, last year का CAT भी देखोगे, it was similar. Because last year's CAT had all these slots was similar. Adosh, I have already made the overview video where I have said very clearly which question one should or should not have attempted. Yeah. So please check the overview video. I think it would have been uploaded by now or would that get uploaded by end of the day. Yeah, so Jugaad video as well as the overview video for DILR and QA, both of them are ready and getting edited. Yeah.
I think Shipku, students also have a problem with question 51. Question 51.
Yeah. I was checking it. Yes.
Yeah.
If you have positive integral values. So I think Sanchit was saying that it will end up becoming 0.
Yeah.
I think he's right. Correct.
So if you take negative integral values also, the entire sum will come back.
I think it was supposed to be positive.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that actually.
The answer.
उसके बिना ही solve कर दिया. मैंने कहा choices दिए पहुंचे तो मेरे को tension ही नहीं ली. See, one of the things which I want students to always remember, while now we should be discussing कि उसमें positive integral value होना चाहिए कि नहीं. When you are attempting the paper, you should look at the choices. Is there a choice called 0 available? No. Are all the choices positive? Yes, they are. Please mark the best among the choices. Your job is not to look for the exactly correct answer. Your job is to look for the best among the options.
Correct.
Afterwards, you can always come back and debate कि सही था, गलत था, objection file करना है, बिल्कुल करो. But when you are attempting the paper, don't worry about anything. Just look at what are the choices and mark the best among them. So among these choices, the best was 25, and that is what should have been marked.
And I think one of the standing instructions in the CAT is mark the best choice for that. I mean, the best choice will be awarded. It is mentioned in the instructions. So when 0 is not considered as one of the options, then the best answer becomes what you consider when you find out only the positive integers. But it's debatable. But okay, it's understandable. 51 should be 0. We agree.
Yeah,
Actually, question 66 मेरे को भी एक बार चेक करना है. मेरा भी 3140 आया था, but मैं एक बार फिर चेक करता हूँ.
कौन सा GP?
Question 66 जो है last question.
सर 5th राउंड पूरा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. 5th राउंड में सिर्फ A और B से हो जाता है पूरा.
यार मैं 16.66 happening in 1/6 of the tank happening in 6 hours.
6 hours. So 4 complete rounds. 4 complete
or
rounds is
GP just like that frog in the well वाला question.
नहीं वो ठीक है, मैं समझ गया हूँ. तो मैं इसलिए 5 राउंड के बाद मैंने किया था. Actually 4 के बाद करना चाहिए था.
4 के बाद if we check 5th round में A and B when they go they will finish it off.
Yeah, absolutely right. बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हो. I made a mistake in that question. because it was, if I remember correctly, 10 hours, 15 hours, and 12 hours. Na? 10 hours is 10%, 15 hours is 6.66%, and 8.33 minus. 8.33 था ना, negative 12 hours में खाली कहता है. So 16, 33.33%. 25. Yeah, ठीक कह रहे हो. My mistake. I made a mistake. 28
I
is
think
fine.
Chittu, what you have done in a very evil manner in this mock is you started off with a lot of questions of algebra, which were not very algebra and numbers, which were not very easily doable. Even the geometry questions in the first 10 ka lot were not something that were manageable. And uske baad jo arithmetic you started giving passages in arithmetic like it's a para summary question.
बिल्कुल.
So
So
basically it was a
you take. Nahi, Ravi, you take a look at the word count of the last year's CAT,
yeah.
right? And I think, to me, arithmetic as such is not tough if I give the questions in 1 or 2 lines. Arithmetic becomes tough the moment you give it in 4 lines. So assuming that arithmetic is going to be easy should not be a assumption, and that I think will be true only if the number of word count in that particular problem is less. Take even GMAT also. GMAT में वो पूरा कहानी जो सुनाता है, that sometimes make the questions not so easy. Conceptually it is easy. So the idea was to kind of keep the word count very similar to what we did in the last year's CAT. So word count was one. So इसीलिए story बनाना पड़ता है.
हाँ, and Ravi, if you look at last year's CAT, उसमें भी यही कहानी थी ना. Why did people find last year's CAT quant difficult? सवाल मुश्किल नहीं थे.
That's correct. But
And
what
a
I'm saying
couple
is,
of extra algebra questions.
but what I'm saying is, GP, people care a lot about Rashmi selling her washing machine before leaving the town. That's a useless sentence in question 62. But उसको देख के लगता है कि हाँ अब कुछ होने वाला है यार. There are questions in quant. I think you have to skim through those arithmetical language questions. Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
तो तो बोल देते रश्मि में याद कर रहा था रश्मि कहाँ पे थी कौन से सवाल में जब कोई वॉशिंग मशीन खोला तो आई वाज स्टिल वंडरिंग यार कौन सी वॉशिंग मशीन बेची है
वो माइक्रोवेव किचन अप्लायंसेस.
हाँ माइक्रोवेव वाला ठीक है. वो तो चॉइसेस देख के हो गया था बट ठीक है इसमें ठीक है.
तो क्वेश्चन को बहुत बारीकी से देखता है रवि.
फिर वो था मतलब I am traumatized by this paper called ZAT. Because the first time I went to ZAT,
fortunately IFT नहीं है इस साल because IFT ऐसी लंबी कहानी देता है.
Yeah, the first time I went to take ZAT, Shivko and GP and Sazil, I was told that ZAT has a very difficult quant section. Right? I went there, I read the questions, and I understood quant is not difficult. Quant was not. They did not ask quantitative logic to a higher extent. They only confused you with the words that are there.
Yes.
Even the DI kind of sets that used to come in quant, the LR that used to come in ZAT, the words were very difficult to understand, or it was the comprehension that was the problem. Yes. The length of the comprehension that was the problem. But otherwise,
actually ZAT में English में DM में और quant में तीनों में English की problem है.
Yeah.
I said the same thing in 1999 when I was conducting it. I said the same thing.
फ्रिज क्या होती है ये पूछ रहा है. तो ये कभी-कभी क्वांट वाला जो इंग्लिश लिखता है ना फ्रिज लिख देता है.
ठीक है.
But I think
ठीक है. So can we just Sadil, can you quickly show the quant paper एक बार जल्दी से we'll run through the quant paper.
Sure. Just
because again I just want to highlight the question which one should not have attempted and why. Though I put that in my quant overview video. Okay.
Just give me one moment. Yes. There you go. I hope you can see this.
Abhi load ho raha hai. हाँ.
Yeah.
This is fine. Okay. Can you just go to the first ऊपर चले जाओ. हाँ. Question 45. यार टेबल बना के choices check करनी है. And always check the extreme choices first. Okay. Question 46, 47. Now, again, question number 46, you have a stupid looking equation 2 by n plus 3 by n equal to 1 by 4. Now you need to find combination of mn, so simplify and do it. Actually, इस तरह का सवाल कैट में आ रखा है, where you have to do exactly the same thing. Now normally a minus x into b minus 5 की तरह कहते हैं. I don't do it like that. I just start plugging values. Okay? So that is
Sajil, can you increase the font size? I mean, so that it fits the screen horizontally. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, better. Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah. अब थोड़ा नीचे स्क्रॉल कर दो. हाँ, ठीक है. Question 47 again. The moment you see p minus q whole square and p and q roots, you know it has to be p plus q whole square minus 4pq. Okay. So these kind of question 47 is a standard question. Now this is, if I look at this paper, that is 4-5 questions where if you know the standard method or standard formula or standard way of doing question, you'll always get it right. Question 47 happens to be one of those. Okay? So p minus q whole square is p plus q whole square minus 4pq. Question 48, सबको तो नहीं बोलूंगा. Most of the students should have left it because it says how many integral points are on the inside or the or on or inside the perimeter bounds. Figure बना लोगे, many of you will get confused. छोड़ दो ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. I always find it a problem for many students who leave the question initially. Question 50 again, geometry नहीं आती, छोड़ दो. ये और बातें मैंने किया लेकिन round 2 में होगा ये.
JP sir, in 48, typically if they are asking perimeter as well as inside, so it typically modulus graphs are typically symmetrical graphs, and symmetric graphs में तुमको 2x मिलेगा, even number मिलेगा, but because there is an origin also involved, so the answer finally coming out will be a 2x plus 1, or if it is or a 4x plus 1. But in that case, ये चारों quadrant में बन नहीं रहा था. If it was all 4 quadrants, once I draw the graph, it is all 4 quadrants, then the answer had to be 109 only. 4x plus 1 ही होना था, because 108 is there given in the options. Right. So even by that logic, कि even number नहीं होगा, odd ही होगा, I was still left with 3 options. That is where I thought कि यार कौन गिनेगा.
बिल्कुल. So ये सवाल छोड़ने लगे. See, my basic theme out here is question 47, 48 you should have left. Question 50 you should have left. Okay. 51 you should have done. Okay. 51 should have been attempted because 120 upon 120 should be divisible by x square minus 1, or x square minus 1 should be equal to factor of 120. लिख लो ना, 1 से 120 कितने factors आते हैं? There will be some 10-12 factors. Write down 1 into 120, 2 into 60, 3 into 40. लिख लो. X square minus 1 should be, or factor plus 1 should be a perfect square. Okay. Minus वाला आगे वो और कहानी है. 52 एवरेज का कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर है तो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है, नहीं तो कुछ नहीं तो छोड़ दो. 53 ज्योमेट्री आती है तो और बात है, अदरवाइज लीव इट. 54 again, that standard concept. If you know the standard way of solving such questions, if you know x plus 1 into y plus 1 into z plus 1 is equal to the expression on the left hand side plus 1, you can solve it, otherwise you should leave it. This is one of those standard questions. Till 54 we have at least 3 questions which are standard formula based way of solving questions which you should always know. 55 तो कोई भी कर सकता है, तुम फॉर्मूला तुम लिखना शुरू करो, हो जाएगा. So I've seen students spending time on the other question and not doing 55. 1000 a plus 100 b plus 10 c plus d minus 10 a minus 10 c minus b minus d. लिखो ना यार, लिखोगे तो हो जाएगा. Question 56 was a straightforward time and work question. Assume 20 kilometers to be distance because the time was 5 and 4 hours. So you could have done it. इसमें भी एक अच्छी चीज थी. Mohan and Ram have the same speed, so they will always be in the middle only. So Mohan and Ram की प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. प्रीति और मोहन के लिए 20 किलोमीटर डिस्टेंस एज्यूम करो and start working on that day. Okay. Question 57. Write down common चीज निकालो. And one of the things which you need to remember, Suresh has a 8-day cycle, which is 4 days working, 4 days resting. Tarkesh has a 6-day cycle, 3 days working, 3 days resting. So 8 and 6 LCM is 24. At the end of day 24, they will be back to day 0. So day 25 onward, the cycle will repeat. So all you need to do is 24 days में कितने दिन साथ काम करते हैं. You'll find in 24 days they are working for 6 days, so 1/4. your answer should be approximately 350 by 4. Approximately, I'm not saying exactly. 350 by 4 is 87.5, 80 आंसर होगा. Okay? So straight away इसका हो सकता था. 58 is a standard जुगाड़ question. लिखो A1, A2, A3 निकालो. 59 again, I think some of you should not be attempting. 59 is something that again many of you should be leaving. Some of you should be attempting if you work with the numbers. What I would want to remember, initially it is 100% milk in jar A. Finally, it becomes 75% milk. So if B is equal to 1, those of you have done the question, those of you have not done the question, look at my Jugaad video. But if B is equal to 1, that means your answer will not be less than 83.3%. Okay. I'll leave it at that and leave it for the others to look at the Jugaad solution. Okay. 60 should have been straightforward. 61 में लास्ट लाइन जो है ना 85,536 बेकार है, टाइम बर्बाद है. लक्ष्मी के जैसी लक्ष्मी दिख गई अभी मुझे. Like useless in question 62, 85,536 is useless in question 61. Assume the person Anil has 100 rupees initially and do the calculation accordingly. So Lakshmi wala jo hai, if you just look at my Jugaad solution, if you just look at the numbers closely, you will say that my answer has to be 35 by 3 only. That's a Jugaad solution you can look at. 63, as I said, is a 30, 60, 90 triangle question. Okay, Sunil, if you can just scroll up. Yeah, these are two 30, 60, 90 right triangles. Yeah, 64 should all be fine. उसमें कोई problem नहीं होगी. Okay. 65. इसमें attempt कितना है? 65 में Sunil, if you can just check what is the attempt and accuracy.
Just a second.
65, 30% attempt, 60% accuracy. 50%.
This should have been 100 days of standard Jugaad solutions. Sunil, can you just go back to the question? Yeah. Now we in the race to 99 we talked about general case and specific case. The question has given you general case. Two distinct roots. Assume the two distinct roots to be 2 and 4. So A equal to 2, B equal to 4, N becomes equal to 3 because 2N is the sum of roots. Substitute in the general. So what we have done, converted that general case into specific case and substitute, and you will find that discriminant is less than 0. So 0 solutions. Okay, this was 65 is a classic general case to specific case question, and this is something you need to remember and revise. जहां पे general case दिखा, if it is true for all cases of in a situation where where the roots are distinct, it will be true for your roots also. The only caution I would say is don't take the sum of roots to be odd, because sum of roots in the equation is 2n. I would want 2n to be even, otherwise मेरी calculation मुश्किल हो जाएगी और कुछ नहीं. ठीक है? 66 तो मैंने गलत कर दिया तो मैं कुछ बोल नहीं सकता उसका.
JP, one thing is about 65, there are only two possible answers.
Yeah.
Either 0 or 2.
नहीं 0 1 भी हो सकता है.
Real roots पूछा है. तो
टीटा है. 1 नहीं हो सकता क्या?
टीटा है.
टीटा है तो 0 1 2 ही होगा.
हाँ. तो 30% ही अटेम्प्ट किए है. मेरा बस वो ये है कि टीटा है.
टीटा है कुछ तो लिख देते. 0 1 2 कुछ तो लिख देते हैं.
मतलब
इसका मतलब 60% ही वहां तक पहुंचे हैं.
This question was a free hit.
This was a sit and shippu. If you remember that general case to specific case, यार मेरे को quadratic equation अपनी बना के solve करनी है. If it is true for all let's say equations which have roots A and B, I can give value of A and B to myself ना. तो मैं अपनी value डाल के solve कर दूंगा. ठीक है. So to me the critical thing is, out of the first 10-12 questions, maybe 5 questions were not worth attempting. Had you left those 5 questions, you would have done well in the paper. That is the basic theme as far as this paper is concerned.
JP, I think there's one very important question for us to address that Sanchit has asked. He said that in question 58, it's a doable question, but okay, it's lengthy. Is it okay to spend 3 to 3.5 minutes in writing everything, adding everything, and doing it? What's your
logic is, to me, Ravi,
my view is if you are getting 1 mark in 1 minute, it is okay.
Absolutely. historically 40 marks in 40 minutes is a terrific attempt in CAT.
Correct.
40 marks will typically be 99 plus, could be 99.5 also. So
And I
if I'm
think
spending 3
irrespective
minutes to
of the
get
level of
40,
difficulty of the paper, irrespective
Yeah.
of the level of difficulty of the paper, GP, I think an average student will attempt about 12 to 13 questions in the
That's
quant
right.
paper. An above average, a good student will attempt about 14, 15. Very good student will attempt about 16, 17 questions. So
Right.
if you are still, if you are at that rate of attempting about 13 questions in the paper, with a decent accuracy, anywhere about 35, you land at anywhere about 35 marks in 40 minutes in quant. You will
हाँ,
never go below 97 percentile is what I feel. 97 से ऊपर ही रहेगा. It is
बिल्कुल
good
ठीक.
for that section. I think you have done well enough in that section. If you're getting 3 minutes, 3 marks, even in 4 minutes you're getting 3 marks, I don't think it is bad, because in some other question you'll compensate it with 2
Yeah,
minutes.
you will average it out in many other questions.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely, I think it's definitely, if you know, if you, by reading the question, if you already have the map in your mind कि ये ऐसा है, and you know that you have solved a question like this before, and you know that 3 minutes में बन ही जाएगा, then I think it has to be attempted. कर दो.
Sanchit, we will do it.
Okay. ठीक है. So अच्छी चीज ये है, इन दिस पेपर एटलीस्ट वर्बल ठीक गया लोगों ने, DILR they were able to pick up the right sets of data. Quant, the only one is लोगों की हिम्मत नहीं हुई शुरू के सवाल छोड़ने में. And remember, this is what happened in CAT last year also. Many students who are unwilling to leave initial question struggled, because remember, a paper has an average level of difficulty. The level of difficulty will not change drastically. Okay? And hence,
see,
if you are getting a difficult question initially, बाद में आसान भी आएंगे, छोड़ते जाओ, कोई बात नहीं. और अगर नहीं आते हैं, hypothetically आगे के सवाल भी मुश्किल हैं, तो ठीक है, बाद में आके कर लेना इनको.
And if there are 22 questions in quant, there are 22 factorial arrangements possible of those questions. So each one of you possibly will face a different arrangement of questions. Okay, matlab, what is question 1 in your paper will be question 12 in my paper probably, right? So and those questions will be arranged by a system in a random order, right? It doesn't know the level of difficulty of those questions still until you have attempted it. So it will be arranged by the system in a random order, and the questions will be presented in a random order to you. What if the first half of the paper is easy for you? In my paper, probably the second half is easier. That can happen, right? So if you get demotivated in the first 2, 3, 4 questions, I think it's a no-brainer. Start from question 66, जाओ पीछे जाओ, or start somewhere in question 50, 55 के आसपास से start करके आगे जाओ पीछे जाओ, but in such a way that you are able to see all 22 questions in the paper, right? Don't get demotivated if in the first 2, 3 questions you are not doing good. If in BRC you can leave the entire first passage and move on to the second, third, and fourth passage, there is no reason why you should not be able to leave the first 7, 8 questions of quant for
four
good.
questions at a time.
Yeah, I think
That's a big
you can
learning.
leave.
It's a big learning for them through this one. Okay, एक क्वेश्चन है, if the score of any student is below 30, ये अभय ने पूछा है. I'm just putting it up. How much would the score for 99.9 percentile in CAD? Same question.
Any student is below 30.
तो ये वाले मॉक में अगर 30 आया है तो एक्चुअल कैट में कितना आएगा इज द क्वेश्चन. 99.9%
वो यार देखो, 30 इस मॉक में आए, कैट में आए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You are not getting anything. I think we need to be clear about, stop worrying about percentile. To me, percentile is a stupid thing. All of you worry unnecessarily about percentile. The only question always should be, आता हुआ कुछ छूट तो नहीं क्या? Anything which did I attempt the right question? Did I leave the right question? And that is all. Okay. If he's asking for quant, then it is the same thing. You got 30 marks in quant. What is the expected percentile? We have shared at 30 marks. But your question should be, could I have got more? Which are the questions I should not have attempted, but I ended up attempting? And which are the questions I should have attempted, I ended up missing? Just focus on that. Focus on the process. Focus on the process. You will get a good score, irrespective of what your score is today.
I think, JP, there's one more point to add to this. People say that, how are you saying that, okay, 30 marks or 33 marks in this paper was 98 percentile or 99 percentile in a particular section, given that only 6,000 people are taking your marks? Now, my question to you.
There's something Raviteja called central limit theorem in statistics.
Yeah. So and then a lot of people say, ki boss, they are only serious aspirants who are taking this. So among the serious aspirants, if you are getting let us say 30 marks and you are getting a 97 percentile, in the actual CAT it will translate to, because the number of less serious people attempting the actual CAT will be way higher, at the same 30 you'll end up getting 99 percentile. Not true. I am asking you only one simple question. Is no one getting 0 marks in DILR in the serious aspirants? There are. So statistically, it is going to remain more or less here or there. Okay, it will probably increase by a percentile or two, but there will not be a plus minus 1-2 percentile, plus minus 5 percentile maximum ka range rahega, right? It will not
Utna
be
bhi nahi
like
hoga.
if you are scoring 90 percentile in CL mocks, you will score 99 in CAT. That is a jump you will have to take on the D-Day. If you're scoring 90 here, you may probably be able to score 93, 94 in the CAT. That I can say that is possible. You may also end up scoring 86 only, depending on your performance on that day. और आपका paper आपके slot में आपके सामने कैसे आया, right? So all we can do is, a predicted percentile that we are giving is built on statistics. And if statistics was always true, there are lies, there are damn lies, and then there is statistics. Okay, so if statistics was always true, then Congress would be ruling us for 90 years now, 80 years, hypothetically. But there are some things that go beyond statistics also. So you can improve. You can still improve by a percentile or two. You can still improve by. Don't worry about percentiles at this point. You should try to improve at least from where you are now, a month almost to go to the CAT. You should try to improve by 1 or 2 questions in each of the sections at best. Okay, 1 or 2 questions in each of the sections is an overall increase of 12 to 15 marks. 12 to 15 marks, an overall increase at the lower band. At about, if you are at 50 marks now, 50 marks if it is 85 percentile, 60 marks, 65, 70 marks in the CAT is very close to 97, 97, 96, 97 percentile as per the last year's percentile. So that is something that you can work on. What you can work on is what you can control. What you can control is your performance based on the paper. You should work on improving each of the sections by 1 or 2 questions. As of now, you should not be bothered about मेरे 90 percentile आ रहे हैं या 70 percentile आ रहे हैं. Forget about that for a moment, right? Just work on things that you can control. You cannot control the way I take the paper. Your percentile depends on me. I am a competitor. Understand that, right?
And one last thing, Sambhavi's question I've just put it on the screen. Keep practicing, but more importantly, keep revising. Revision leads to improvement in speed, and revision leads to higher accuracy. So revision is extremely important. Just keep revising a lot and practicing a lot. That's all.
Okay, there is one question. One question that last I want to take up, because that was asked long back and we were in the flow. So the student is asking very simply, was this the All India Open mock where other non-CL students were involved? No, this was not the one. It is on 11th. The third and the last All India Open mock is on 11th. So make sure you don't miss that one at all. So yeah.
Don't miss any. It doesn't matter whether it's All India mock or not.
Yes.
Chalo, let's close then. I have a session, I have a class, so I will close now. And let's see, you want to continue? If you want to continue, we can. Then I can leave.
I think we are.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
चलो ठीक है, अगले हफ्ते मिलेंगे. चलो, good night then, all the best.
Bye bye, all the best. Bye bye.